What you don't budget for are the hidden costs that come up along this journey. These are the straws that break the camel back. Because if you just think about it and think about why you quit, most likely the reason why you quit is because you no longer want to endure the cost of obtaining that achievement. And we are so back, baby. Happy Sunday to all. Welcome to another No Ceilings podcast episode. We are so fired up to come to you on this beautiful weekend. I just had the pleasure of making another trip around the sun and turning 36 years old. Let's go. You learn a lot in your 36 years. I'm excited and happy to share with you. A reminder, the host, my name is Corey. This podcast is affectionately referred to as the No Ceilings Pod. We have a new sign if you're watching on YouTube. Shout out to my wife who got that for me for my birthday. Let's go. We got good things coming your way. Today's podcast is titled Beware of the Hidden Cost. A lot of places, and we're going to explore and investigate where the hidden costs are of your life and why we shouldn't be surprised when they get here, when they do appear, how to handle them, and to overall allow yourself to grow and develop into the human being that you want to become, because there are no ceilings. And we're going to talk about that. Like I just mentioned, I had the pleasure of turning 36 years old. When anytime you hit a birthday, you always do some self-reflection and you take stock on where you're at, where you're going, where the future is going to hold. So I'm just very fired up to bring this episode to you because I was thinking about hidden costs, and I was thinking about how it can hold people back. I was thinking about how it used to hold me back, and it still does on a day-to-day basis. So really excited about this topic. Really excited. I'm in a season of growth, and I want you to come with me because that is where you're firing on all cylinders is when you're growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying, and nobody's ready to die yet, baby. Let's do this thing. So hidden cost. Where are the hidden fees at? I'm in the mortgage industry. One of my favorite jokes is when someone asks me, are there any hidden fees on this? And I say, oh, yeah, you're not going to see it on that paper because they're hidden. They almost never laugh, and they get really sketched out. They end up not calling me back. So don't use that joke if you are in the mortgage industry. But I digress. Let's rein in the ADD. We all understand the logic of taking on a challenge and growing and developing. We've been taught this logic since a very young age. It's if you want to achieve, you have to work hard. It's going to take hard work to get what you want. It's not going to be handed to you in life. We've heard these things all of our lives. So we can get behind that logic, right? Okay, if I want this thing, it's going to take hard work. I got to work. I got to save some money. I got to work extra at work. I got to, my butt in the gym, whatever it is. I understand that there's hard work behind it in order to achieve. We can all get behind that. But what you don't budget for are the hidden costs that come up along this journey. These are the straws that break the camel back. Because if you just think about it and think about your own life and think about the things that you've started and quit and think about why you quit. Most likely the reason why you quit is because you no longer want to endure the cost of obtaining that achievement, or something came up. How familiar does that sound? Something came up, couldn't do it, man. Got really busy, the weather, I got sick. Something came up that was unforeseen and it threw us off track. And what we say is something came up, I'll get back on that horse in the future, but not right now. Hidden costs are out there for everything. And if you ever feel like you're running on the hamster wheel and these hidden costs show up at the most inopportune time and it prevents you from doing the thing that you want to do, maybe what we need to do is say hidden costs are inevitable. And maybe they're not so hidden. Maybe they're always going to be there. And when we shine light on those things that are hidden, then it allows us to plan around and overcome some of those things that pop up. So you may be saying to yourself, like, hidden costs, throwing that term around a lot. What does that exactly mean? It's going to be different per personal situation because I don't know what you're going after. I want you to get it. I don't know what you're going after. But just for me to name a few hidden costs that would come up as far as examples go is, hey, I work in a commission-based role and I run a sales team and I also originate mortgages, right? So I'll come in every year, every quarter, and I'll say, I want to make an X amount of dollar amount. And in my industry, it can come in bunches. It can go a little, there can be lulls. You plan around these things and you strategize and you work the effort muscle. But something that is hidden when you're driving towards a specific goal is evenings and weekends. Those are hidden costs. So if it were up to me, I wouldn't work any evenings. If it were up to me, I wouldn't work any weekends. But I don't set goals that are in the range that would say, I'll get around to that Monday. I set really aggressive goals. I have a family that we need to support. We have some awesome aggressive goals as a family in general. We like to go on vacations. We have a second home in Michigan. I can't just say, yeah, we'll mail it in this quarter and we'll see what happens. And that's just not kind of how I'm wired. That's not my DNA. I'm a hard charger. So I'm going to set really aggressive goals. I always want to do better. I always want to raise the bar. But now I know that there's hidden costs associated with that. It may require me to log on at 7 o'clock at night and help one of my realtor partners or help out a client. It may require me to actually put in some work on a weekend instead of just relaxing and sitting on the couch. That is not necessarily a contract that I write out with myself. It's not a part of my role with the company. It's not required of the company. They don't say, hey, Corey, we need you to work this weekend. It doesn't happen. But I know in order to attain what I need to do, those things will pop up. And if I say we'll get to it Monday, don't be surprised if I fall short of my goal. But it's not abundantly clear that that's going to be a big part of it. So working evenings and weekends, that's an example of hidden costs. I've talked about it plenty of times. I'm training for a marathon right now. The hidden cost of a marathon, and not to get too graphic, I won't post anything on YouTube here, but my toenails are jacked up. They're not in a good spot. I know, TMI, but it's a lot of pounding the pavement on the concrete. You can't cheat the mileage. So, you'll chat GPT the game plan. You understand I got to hit X amount of miles in a given week. And this week, I think we're up to 40. And you buy the running shoes, you buy the socks, and you say, you know what, we're going to run the miles. We're going to be on track for our training so we can run that marathon. But what is hidden that was not a part of the contract that I signed is that my toenails are going to turn black and blue and fall off after a certain amount of miles, and it's painful and it can be excruciating depending on how bad they are in a given moment. Again, I know I'm getting graphic here, but I'm just trying to drive home the fact that it's not as easy and clean when you sign a contract with yourself of achievement that I'm just going to put in hard work and things are going to happen. There are hidden things that will pop up, and it's inevitable. Those hidden costs are going to show up. Another thing is diet and alcohol. So when I have a big run on a Saturday or Sunday and I'm out with my family or my friends and it's Friday night and a basketball game is on and they say, hey, let's throw back a couple of brews, I can't do it. I can't do it because I know if I do it, then I'm not going to have a great run the next day. And, you don't have to drink to have fun, but, sometimes you get a weird look from one of your friends like, oh, okay, this guy's not drinking. Or I'll have one of those Athletico non-alcoholic beers, but that's not in the contract of running a marathon. No one said that you have to not drink on Friday nights, but it was hidden. And now it's a thing. I know how it makes me feel. I know I have to perform because I can't cheat the mileage in order to accomplish the achievement I want to achieve. So again, another hidden cost. Big one is loneliness. When you are a hard charger and you're going off after a goal and you're saying, I want to do this, and I want to accomplish something great. I'm not here to just live in the average and the mean and just hang out. You're going to be lonely. You're going to have your crew that rolls along with you. You're going to have people that are cheering you on, but it's a lot of times just you in the gym. It's a lot of times just you in the lab, and they're not doing it with you. So they're going to see the end result and they're going to say, hey, it must be nice. That's awesome. They were able to accomplish that, but you're lonely along the way. So that wasn't a part of the contract. I wasn't aware of that, but you experience the loneliness for sure, especially when you want to go out and get it. And it takes a big effort from yourself. You're going to be out there by yourself and you have to be okay with that. Rejection, putting yourself out there. That's such a big hidden cost that happens all of the time. Whatever you're going after, you're going to hear the word no. You're going to get setbacks. You're going to expect you to be able to perform. You're going to have a certain level of confidence in yourself, and then you're going to get knocked on your ass, and you're going to get rejected, and you're going to have the feeling of less than, and that's not a good feeling. That's not a good feeling at all, and that's not a part of the contract. It should be easy, right? I laid out the calendar. I put out the schedule. Like I allocated the time to do this, but you're putting yourself out there and you're getting kicked and you're getting knocked over and you're having to get back up. Those are hidden costs. It was not explained to you up front, but those are the things. So I lay those out there like that. And, I'm sure you could think of hundreds and hundreds of more if you really think about it. Hey, like, when's the last time I quit something? There's stuff that comes up. And the point of me laying it out there and kind of allowing you to see some of those hidden costs is because it happens to everybody. And understanding that those are the things that really break the camel's back, that when they do pop up, you say, man, I was going to do it, but I couldn't take it anymore. And you won't say that to your friends. You won't say that to the people that you put yourself out there with and say, hey, I was going to do this. You'll say something different because it's more of a defense mechanism. But what it really was is the hidden costs that showed up that you were not prepared for, that changed the budget of what you're willing to put into the pot to make something happen. Don't change the budget. Set the budget. Now that is setting the table for our hidden cost podcast. So we understand what I mean by that and the scope in which I mean it. Now let's dive into how to attack it, how to live with hidden costs, and how to try to avoid and persevere and endure along the way. Now there's one entrepreneur that's like my favorite entrepreneur of all time. He's on the internet. I've read all of his books. It's just someone I randomly stumbled upon, and I can't get enough of this guy. I listen to his podcast. Big endorsement for him, but his name is Alex Hormozi. So this isn't an original thought, but it's something that comes up over and over and over again in my life, especially in the season that I'm at right now when I'm trying new things. And I don't know exactly what he calls it, but I'll just say it's the starting something new curve. I'm sure he calls it something different, but I want to walk you through this curve because it's funny. It's almost hysterical how often this happens this way. And what will happen is you'll start to pay attention to you starting new things, or you taking on new endeavors, or you just doing stuff at work that's new and different. Maybe you're part of a new team or a new project. And it just always seems to happen this way. And he broke it down to a science. So starting something new curve. First, you start with uninformed optimism. Uninformed optimism. So I'm going to tie this back to something that I did, I think it was about 6 years ago now. I wanted to start my own business, and I had a crap ton of uninformed optimism. If you've ever had a business idea and you're thinking like, man, I'm going to revolutionize the world with this thing. There's just so much uninformed information. Like, you don't know. You haven't done it yet, but you have so much optimism of the upside and what if everything goes right for me. And then like, also you can do this. And my business was, it wasn't a crazy business. Actually, it kind of was, but it was basically taking a picture of a menu, a food menu, and then that food menu would spit back at you the best match for you to order off of that menu. We called it Bite Right. Didn't end up happening, but I had a lot of uninformed optimism because I was like, we can get on Uber Eats. We can figure out, everything about your food preferences. You can learn about food. We can make partnerships. And man, I was revved up. You could ask anybody that I clued in on the project. I would talk about it all the time, and I would think about it all the time. And then after uninformed optimism, again, this is Alex Hormozi's framework, you have informed pessimism. Informed pessimism. So now you got all the information. You've put yourself in the trenches and you've learned and you've collected all the info. And now you get really negged out. You're like, that is not exactly what I expected to happen here. That was not the information I was wanting, but that is the reality of the situation. And now you're just you're negative about it, right? You're like, man, that was unforeseen. And now that I have this information, here's all the reasons why this thing won't work. And that's where I got to. And that's where a lot of people get to. You go from uninformed optimism to informed pessimism. And that's where, again, I got into that zone of like, man, there are a lot of holes in this thing. I'm not sure if this is even needed. Doesn't everybody already know what they like anyways? Why are we creating this business? And then you end up in what he calls the valley of despair. So you put time, money, energy, you put yourself out there, you told people about it, then you found out about it, you get really bummed out, and then you land in this valley of despair where you're just like, what have I done? What is wrong with the world? Why did I think that this is a good idea in the first place? A lot of people, this is where you stay and you get stuck and then you move on to the next thing, right? We get the ADD, we find a shiny object and we're like, that I'm cutting bait. There were hidden costs that showed up. I was uninformed at the beginning. I misunderstood, and this happens over and over and over again, because then you'll get informed optimism. So I know I'm following you through the curve, right? So we have uninformed optimism. We're super pumped. We're super excited about the future, and we see a lot of potential. Then we get informed pessimism. We get bummed out. Shoot, that was information I didn't know. Then you end up in the valley of despair. We call that rock bottom. This was not for me. A lot of people just bail right there. But if you stay in it and you persevere and you find different ways to push the project forward, then you get informed optimism. Oh, actually, there's a route we could take here with this project, or actually, we could partner here. And if we make these tweaks, that could work. And now I have all the information. Now I'm a subject matter expert. I can level this thing up. Now, to be clear, I cut bait with this company called Bite Right. And, I don't like to do that, but that's what happened. I'm going to be truthful in the story. And I would have loved to get to the informed optimism part, but it felt like the valley of despair just brought me down. I'm a human being as well. And then after you get through your informed optimism, you're a subject matter expert, you got all the information, you have optimism working at your favor, all things are working, things are working for you. Then you eventually reach achievement and you tackle the thing. In this case, in this use case, we would have tackled creating a business that had some legs to go, to run. And that is the framework that happens all of the time. You can insert whatever you like in terms of like thinking with the end in mind with your achievement, but you start with uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, land in the valley of despair, informed optimism, and then eventually achievement. So bring that up because this whole podcast is about having hidden costs, and understand that is the flow and the framework that a lot of us go through any decision that we're really making. And just think about it, right? The next time, really conscious of this, you get really revved up about an idea or a goal or an achievement that you want to tackle. You hop in with both feet and you have an uninformed optimism. Once you hit informed pessimism in the valley of despair, that's expected. That's part of it. And if you understand and feel like this is part of it, then you can eventually make it to informed optimism and then eventually achievement. I think it's great framework to work through. I think it's great when you are in the valley of despair that you know this is all part of it. I'm only a couple steps away from the achievement, as opposed to, woe is me, not again. What have I done here? Like, think about those framework shifts. Like, think about people who win and people who lose. When they land in the valley of despair, do people stay there? Have you stayed there? Or do you say, I'm only a couple steps away from informed optimism here? I love the idea of being informed and optimistic. That's an awesome spot to be. So that's my takeaway. And that just drives back to hidden costs because they come up. Another quote from Alex Hormozy that helps me out big time with the hidden costs is, I cannot lose if I do not quit. I'll repeat it again. I cannot lose if I do not quit. This is something that I do say to myself over and over and over again. I've said it in races. I've said it in really hard workouts. I've said it in really big, rough patches of work. I don't know if I've said it necessarily in a family setting or a friend setting, but it's such a good framework to roll through because it's just about taking one more step. It's about putting one foot in front of the other. The other day, 2 days ago, I did a 17 and a half mile run, and I left at 5 a.m., but the sun snuck up on me and I got really dehydrated. It started getting like really beat down by this run, and I was still 7 miles away from my house. And that's not a good feeling when you have that much of your run to go. And I just kept saying this to myself is I cannot lose if I do not quit. And that just caused me to keep chugging along, next mile marker. You can do that in your life as well because you're truly in the infinite game. Whatever valley of despair that you're in right now, you can understand that informed optimism is right around the corner. But if you quit, if you cut bait, that guarantees that you cannot win. It does because you've left the game. But if you stay in it, there's always opportunity for things to turn around for you. There's always opportunity for you to progress. Even if you're so far behind, who cares? You got plenty of time. You got a long life to live. You got a long life to be able to obtain this achievement. We didn't get into it to just tackle stuff in 1 or 2 day increments. We're in this game to tackle amazing achievements and do amazing things. And that takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of dealing with hidden costs. But if you quit, then that causes some negative momentum, because if you quit that, you're more likely to quit a second thing. That's what I always try to tell, my son Beckett. I always try to tell like some of the people that I mentor is it's not just saying like, I'm not going to run this 10K or whatever thing that you said you wanted to do. And then something came up and a hidden cost came up. It's giving yourself the permission to quit. It's a big deal, because once you build that muscle of quitting, it's hard to shove yourself back out when things get tough. It's hard to shove yourself back out when the hidden costs show up. But if you're somebody that is always in the game, even if they're falling behind, even if you're not crushing it, even if it's painful, and you just tell yourself, I cannot lose if I do not quit, then you'll always be in the game in the future as well. And being in the game is a beautiful thing. You're not knocked out. The NBA playoffs are happening right now, and you got a chip in a chair, right? Even if you're down 3-0, it's never happened historically. You're still in the fight. You still have the opportunity, and having that opportunity could eventually lead to informed optimism, which is just one step away from achievement. And that's what we're here to do, is to achieve. So I cannot lose if I do not quit. The next time you're on the treadmill, the next time you get some bad information, the next time you just want to quit something, tell yourself that, and it helps. It helps me. It helps me out big time. Now, we're talking about informed optimism, right? And we're getting information and we're getting optimistic. That's a hell of a place to be. And when hidden costs show up, you feel like you're very far away from that place. Something that also really helps me, and a lot of people say this, is just remind yourself that things happen for you, they don't happen to you. Something that I say over and over again to Beckett and Breslin, my daughter and son, is things happen for you, they don't happen to you. Now my son's 9 and my daughter's 6. So, you've been 9 and 6 before. I'm sure if you put yourself back in those shoes, like if a toy broke or a show ended before you got to see the ending, or if, you got some homework or a bad grade in school, like it feels like the end of the freaking world. Like everything is a big deal, but things happen for you. They don't happen to you. Whatever's going on in your life, whatever adversity that you're going to find, whatever crappy thing is going to hit your doorstep tomorrow, if you put it in a frame of things happen for me, not to me, then that allows you to create momentum and continue to put one foot in front of the other. You almost welcome it. You're almost okay with bad things happening to you, because you almost say to yourself, this is an opportunity for me to grow. This is an opportunity for me to level up. This is an opportunity for me to tackle, because this has held me back before and I've quit in this scenario, but I'm not going to quit here, because, thank God it showed up. So if things are always happening to you, then you lose control. I don't have any control over that. I don't have control over the weather. I don't have control over the economy. I don't have control over my boss. I don't have control over my friends. Like having no control is like anxiety central. Like, oh my gosh, this is a bad place to be. When things are happening to you, like you're letting life happen to you, and it can put you in a really negative spot, the valley of despair. But when things are happening for you, then you're in control. Then you have power. Then you can really just take it by the horns and do amazing things. And, if you really think about it, you can't have amazing things without going through and enduring. I mean, you can, I'm sure, but a pathway to eventually get there is to endure. And I'm just a big believer in that, is that things happen for you, not to you. Now, a great story, and I am going to read this story verbatim because I want to do it justice, is the story of the drowning man. Now, I'm not sure if you're religious or not. This is more of a religious story. It's about the belief in God. But the point is to drive home things happening for you, not things happening to you. So I'm going to read it verbatim. The drowning man. A fellow was stuck on his rooftop in a flood. He was praying to God for help. Soon, a man in a rowboat came by, and a fellow shouted to the man on the roof, "Jump in! I can save you!" The stranded fellow shouted back, "No, it's okay. I'm praying to God, and he's going to save me." Floated on, moved away. Then a motorboat came by. The fellow in the motorboat shouted, "Jump in! I can save you." To this, the stranded man said, "No thanks. I'm praying to God, and he's going to save me. I have faith." So the motorboat went on. Then a helicopter came by, and the pilot shouted down, "Grab this rope. I'll lift you to safety." To this, the stranded man again replied, "No thanks. I'm praying to God, and he's going to save me. I have faith." So the helicopter reluctantly flew away. Soon the water rose above the rooftop, and the man drowned. He went to heaven. He finally got his chance to discuss the whole situation with God, at which point he exclaimed, "I had faith in you, but you didn't save me. You let me drown. I don't understand why." To this God replied, "I sent you a rowboat and a motorboat and a helicopter. What more did you expect?" I love that story because it drives home things happening for you, not things happening to you. I can pull so many examples in my life where in the moment you're saying, "This is too difficult. This is too hard. Why is this happening to me and not to other people?" And then when you retroactively look back at it years later, you say to yourself, "Thank God that happened to me, because then that put me on this run and I wouldn't be where I am today without that." But we miss it. We miss it every single day because we are stuck in the mindset of things happening to us, not things happening for us. Just pulling the run that I just did. I have the marathon coming up in June. Last time I did a marathon, I really broke down physically and I wasn't able to make it through. And when I got dehydrated on this run, and I was saying I cannot lose if I do not quit, I just had to remind myself that, Corey, you're trying to avoid breaking down again on this marathon. You need to have moments like this. You need to have really difficult runs so you can pull strength during your marathon. So, me talking to God and me saying, "Why are you making it so hot outside? I'm trying to get a workout in. This is making it more difficult." What I should be saying is, "Thank you for the opportunity to persevere through some adversity here." Now you can plug this in any way that you like, but it puts you in such a clear headspace when you have bad things happen to you and you say to yourself, "This is happening for me. This is not happening to me." So take that story and run with it. That will really help with those hidden costs that are going to show up, because they are going to show up. They weren't disclosed to you before when you entered the contract, and they're going to show up. Now, when it comes to happiness and when it comes to setting the bar for happiness, it's all about expectations. It's all about expectations. Here's where hidden costs really start to come in and can really hurt you from where you want to be. Is you have an expectation of what's going to happen. Again, you're signing a contract with yourself when you set a goal. I'm not going to be happy until I hit this goal. And then you lay out the plan and you put you do say to yourself, "I've budgeted a certain amount of cost to make this plan happen. I'm willing to give away the time. I understand I need to add the time. I'm willing to put in the effort. I understand there needs to be effort there." And you sign that contract and you believe you have a full grasp of things. Hidden costs show up, and your expectations of what was expected compared to what it actually is the thing that throws you off, and say, "Man, I didn't sign this contract. No one told me that it was going to be this hard. No one told me that I was going to have a stroke of bad luck or a continuous stroke of bad luck, or my relationships were going to suffer. No one told me that." And then you quit and you end up in the valley of despair, like we talked about. So setting your expectations and understanding that you need to budget for the hidden costs will help you, because just like anything, if you're going to budget for something, you're also going to account for the fact that there's going to be emergencies along the way. Like it's recommended that you got 6 months worth of savings for an emergency account. The reason for that is because there's hidden costs that come up. Your car breaks down. You have to get a house repair, something pops up in your life medically that you have to take care of. And if you are living paycheck to paycheck and you budgeted out just enough costs to be able to do whatever you're trying to do, then you're going to be really bummed out when you eventually get to the point where a hidden cost shows up, and then you're going to quit. And we already discussed we don't want to quit. We want to move to another direction. So the point of the podcast and the name of the podcast is hidden costs, how to avoid them, how to understand them, and how to make them work for you. Hopefully you get a lot taken away from the podcast today. I'm so pumped to be back. The back nine of the 30s. I'm so pumped to be in this fight with you guys. And we're going to riding into the sunset, having an awesome year, and achieving the things that we want to achieve while navigating through the hidden costs as they come up. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Sunday. We'll see you.